goal scorer Nigeria ever had up to that point. But he had gone to America 2 years before, and or 3 years before. He joined us when we went to Algiers for the All Africa Games, and it wasn't so good. It wasn't so good because America had actually affected him. But his absence in that team in 1977 cost Nigeria qualification for the World Cup. In 1981, when we were to play for the 1982 World Cup, Nigeria started to search for strikers all over the place. If you recall, even in 1980, Mudashiru Lawal had to be drafted from his defensive midfield position to play at center forward because the search was on. I was to be Thompson's successor, but I was nowhere near Thompson when it came to our ability in front of goal. And they now brought in Shakara, Emmanuel, I think Obasui. They brought in Christian Nwankocha, who might be joining us this night. They brought in so many players, and none could actually fit into that team until we played Algeria in the finals, and we lost again. So the qualification affected us. Qualification affected Nigeria. Qualification for the World Cup, because all of you guys, and you are a whole army of you, battalion of you, all brilliant, some of the most brilliant players we had in Nigeria, migrated to the United States of America. It will be interesting to find out if that migration that costs you, of course, the opportunity to have sustained a much longer spell in the national team of Nigeria and made a bigger impact in Nigeria, made bigger names, made more money possibly, qualified for the World Cup. If all of that is worth what you found and met and have been in the United States up till now, was that worth it? Do you regret it? Do you miss it? Whatever. I just want to know your individual thoughts and your experiences. But for sure, you cost Nigeria the opportunities to have gone to the World Cup. You lost the opportunities to have made a bigger name and impact in the world of football, because I can see that at least 3 or 4 of you could have been truly global stars. And yet now you have come out with doctor, master's degree, and so on and so forth. You are much better people, but at what cost? Your different experiences. Let me start from Godwin Odiye. Godwin, when you just look back now, are you going to feel?
When I look, I have been thinking about it for a long time.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Yeah.
No, I don't think I would say I regretted anything, because I gave everything that I have. There's no more to give, and I don't want to be selfish and just hang in there and say I keep playing, because it does not make any sense. You can't live on glory alone. So I didn't abandon Nigeria. The director of sports knew I was going to go to school. So everything I did, they all know. So I left Nigeria on a good note. So
no, that's not the point. That's not the point. Yes, you left Nigeria honorably. You had to go to school, which is the same story with everybody else. What I'm saying is, when you left Nigeria, you were, at the peak of your career. That's when Godwin Odiye could have been one of the best central defenders in the world. You were one of the best in Africa, no doubt. But a few more years, 4 or 5 more years within that system, and you could have been very easily Africa's Footballer of the Year, because you were playing so brilliantly. But you did not wait for that. You went for education, which is a good thing. It's a fantastic thing, as every other person would tell you. But you see, it's a big loss to us in Nigeria, because we did not go to the World Cup.
Yeah, I know. That's one thing that nobody in Nigeria knew. I was in Liverpool. Liverpool, you never walk alone.
Wow.
But I went to London to go and sign a contract. It's a 2-year contract, $250,000. Nobody in Nigeria knew. But I say, you know what? It's better to have your education after soccer But I didn't want to go for the money. I would rather either go to school or play for Nigeria until I can play no more. Those are the two decisions that I have.
Yeah.
But I care everybody. So I never regretted not playing professionally, but leaving Nigeria to go to US to school has, there's a bit some guilty in there, but it's all for the good reason. You can't stay in one place for a long time.
No, I agree.
There are other people, other players coming in. They can jolly well fill in. Yeah, I could have signed for Liverpool, but money wasn't an object for me.
Okay. When you say there are other players, that's not really true. It's like saying, Lionel Messi just says, "Oh, there are other players to play my position," and he leaves. No, every player is different. Paul Okoku, let me go to Paul. You were captain. You are one of the best from defensive midfield to the holding midfield to creative midfields that we saw. But as a defensive midfield player, you were just truly, truly outstanding. Paul Okoku, you left when Nigeria was just waiting to start to see you blossom. And then you went to America. And that was the end of the story, because you never came back to come and play for the national team that you started to play so brilliantly in. Today, you are a very, very successful person. But as I said earlier, what's your take? Is it it's not regret, but is it that you lost and you gained? You lost the football aspect of your life, everything that could have come with it, but you gained a career, an education, and a career. But just tell me your story.
Well,
Paul.
Thank you, Big Shaq, for having me. Let me tell you this. What most people didn't understand was the fact that I actually temporarily took over from Mudashiru Lawal, where I played in most of the games in his absence. He surrendered that position gratefully to me, and I accepted it. Just like Sonny Mohammed surrendered the position to him. Now, to answer your question directly, I have no regret, no remorse. I put in all my best. And when you ask at what cost, well, there's something they call opportunity cost. What I gave up to acquire what I have today. Looking back, I have no remorse, because I know the efforts that we put in to get scholarship to come to America. Most of us foresaw what was going on in Nigeria, and there was no way. And when we saw most of the players who played before us, it was an encouragement, and we used that as a motivation to leave Nigeria to acquire our education. So there's no remorse. Whatever successes people are having today, all the best to them. We are not in competition with anyone, so we are satisfied where we are today. And when I talk to most of my colleagues, either before me, during my time, my contemporaries, they are pretty much satisfied with what we have today. There's no remorse, because we talk all the time. And the one thing that we all agreed on is we thank God for that foresight that we had.
Paul, I hear you clearly, but you are not hearing me clearly. Paul, you could have been. Look, when you left this country, yes, you succeeded Muda Lawal. For too short a time, it was so brief that it is hard for us to even remember. You could have played for at least another 8 years. By the time you left Nigeria, you had so much football in you, and then you went to America and never came back to play for the national team again. The point is that America does not do, or did not do at the time, what Europe did. Because when our boys went to Europe to play, they still came back to play for the country. They were better than they left. But it appears that America diminishes the quality of our football, or used to diminish the quality of our footballers. Is that true?
Well, let me give you a short answer to that question, or to the statement that you made. We are or were student athletes. So we were students first before athletes. So that's the number one contributor. I hope I've been able to answer your question.
Okay.
That's just a simple, straightforward answer. We were student players. So we spent most of our time in classrooms than on the soccer field. So by the time you come out, you see,
the collegiate system did not help development per se.
In terms of football,
yes.
But our primary goal of going is not to play football, but to acquire our education. So we spent more time in classrooms than on the field of play.
Sam Okpodu, do you feel the same way? Because, when you left, you were even younger than when Paul left and so on. You were just starting. You burst into the national team, and before anybody could say Jack Robinson, you were gone. Whereas, Sam, at that time, if you had just waited a little, you could have been mathematical number 2. Because you were just there waiting to succeed me, to just take over from me, and then you were just gone, man. And that's it for a career that could have been like that of Jairzinho. What are your thoughts?
Man, you are right. Thanks for the opportunity to meet with these fellow great legends. I agree with you. I was waiting for you. But the opportunity of education was a driving force to my leaving the country at that time. I knew if I waited, there were so many what we call shenanigans going on in the national team that I felt like if I did not move as at the time that I moved, I was going to lose scholarship and I was going to lose football. So my movement was based on, at that point in time, I chose the academic aspect of my life, knowing fully well that a quality education will last me a long time over waiting for something that I do not know will come. That was my decision to split, according to American lingo. So I did not wait. I had to go.
Okay. Let me go to Nathaniel now. Nathaniel, what drives us footballers, what drives us, those of us in sports, it's like alcohol. It intoxicates. Ask the average young man on the streets now what he prefers, whether to go to school or to play football. I can bet that 80% of them will say, they want to go and play football. It's intoxicating. It is not easy to take that decision that, look, I will sacrifice football and go for my academics. It is always the belief that you can, because you all came from academicals. All of you came from academicals, combining academics with football up to a certain small level, and then you would just have busted into the national teams, even though that would have truncated your education, probably. But, I don't know. I don't even know what to say. But Nathaniel, your own thoughts. You've listened to Paul, you've listened to Odie and to Sam, and I just have a feeling that sometimes passion, supersedes anything else. Just that urge to go to the field and play would shut your mind to anything else. But for you guys to have chosen something else in America that was not certain to sustain you even within football, you all had dreams that when you got to America, you would still play the game at a high level. But it's never happened like that. Nathaniel.
So thank you very much for allowing me to be on your parliament. My first experience was, I'm from Lagos, placed in Finbas College, Lagos, and we are about academics and soccer also. But my experience was when I was invited to the national team when you were there. And I remember they're talking about you personally. Being in one of the universities, and also at Messimaka, we had a training and the main goal at that particular time, and I saw Messimaka leaving to go to school in Unilag. Someone was telling me that he goes to school in Unilag. after practice. I'm like, what? How can this guy do this? From then on, that was what changed my perspective of everything. Watching you being in university with Amesimaka, that was what changed everything for me. And I said and also when I saw former players, people that idolized back in Nigeria, on the street of Lagos, begging me for money, that changed everything for me also. So it was true that I decided that education is the best thing for me. And some of us that came actually played in one of the professional league here. I actually played in A-League, which is with the Worcester Wildfire that I played in. But it's not the same. Education for us is the key. As you can see now, look at us now. I'm an engineer by profession. Most of us have gone to do great things. We're also still in football, coaching, and also doing camps and clinics, still improving the game.
Yeah. Okay, Nathaniel. Let me go to Taju. If he has managed to settle, Taju has not settled his camera. He's still holding it. You have to prop it up and let it stand firmly so we can see you. It's all shaking all over the place. It will not work. If you don't do it, you cannot participate in it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you have to do it. Anyway, Godwin, let me come back to you. You see, none of you went to America without the thought that you were going to play football there, because you did not have previous experience of going to America and just getting an education. It is not so. All of you went on a football scholarship. You went to colleges that gave you scholarship to come and study and play the football. And some of you actually excelled. I went to Clemson University and I saw on the wall of Clemson University huge images and awards and rewards to Nigerian footballers. They did truly exceptional things as footballers. But what I'm saying is the quality of football that you guys played, even as students in universities in those days, did not transform you into better players for you to be able to come back. If you came back, Andrew Atuegu came back and played a little. Thompson Nusinye came back and played. Godwin Odie came back and played. But by the time they came back a few years to play, they were not as good as when they left. Whereas the whole intention was to get the education and get better. So it had to do with the quality of football that you were playing or training or something did not really enhance your performance. Is that true or not?
It's true. Yeah, you are right on the money. The training we get here, American soccer, you can't even compare with Nigeria. But for me personally, you remember I spent a lot of time with you at the Green Eagles. Everywhere you go, I followed you.
we were together. You didn't follow me.
Because I was watching everything that you do. You are a college graduate too. I said, you know what, how can I be like this? Can I be like this? So you were kind of like an inspirator. You and Amesimaka, I think, and Olabi too. But the point I'm trying to make is that coming to the US, for me, was to come here, get educated, and go back to Nigeria. That was accomplished.
Yeah.
But then when I look at how soccer was in Nigeria at that time, I said, you know what, if I go back now, I am going to struggle. That is one. And then two, there are people that are coming up, other players who are coming up. And I don't need any trouble in my life. Players are very funny. That was why I say, you know what, I must just stay here and just take a risk. So I play semi-professionally here. But every time I'm being invited, I always go home to go play. And then when it became, I play in the midfield, which was kind of neurotic of the coach. I said, well, this doesn't even make any sense anymore. So I wasn't even I just don't want to be selfish and stay there. I can do it if I want to, but I just decided, no, let's leave it for somebody else. I don't know if you will understand where I'm coming from.
Oh, yeah, of course. Of course, it's your story.
I can still play if I want to at that time, but I just want other people to come up. I don't want to live on glory. Every day, a new idea is being born. A new idea is being born. So why hang in there? Why not just give them a chance and sit back, watch them, and support them? I thought about coaching.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't it.
Okay, there were two Nigerians who did something that was truly exceptional. One of them was Christian Nwankocha. Unfortunately, he's not with us tonight. Christian went to America. He studied. He played football at collegiate level. When he finished, he moved over to Europe and played in Portugal. And he was playing in Portugal when they brought him back to the national team of Nigeria to come and play. He needed to move to Portugal for him to be able to come back to play for the national team of Nigeria. The second player is Taiwo Ogunjobi. Taiwo Ogunjobi went to America, along with you all, spent the exact number of years he needed to graduate. And as soon as he graduated, he didn't wait a day longer. He came back to Nigeria, brushed up his football again, and now started a new career in football in Nigeria. And he won one of the African Cups, and he did so well for himself in Nigerian football. So those two were exceptional. But you chose to remain, even though you were young, and you could still have come back to play. Sam Okpodu is the guiltiest because he was absolutely brilliant in America. Sam's record in America is almost, unmatchable when he was playing in the American system. I wonder why you didn't come back to play. Why didn't you ever come back to play? Sam?
Yes. That answer is very easy.
You were young?
Because one of the reasons, first of all, that I left was the 80 Nations Cup. If you remember, there were probably about 2 players that made that roster. And I was there. I wasn't hurt, but I did not make the roster. It was later that I found out that players were going to our Alaba markets to buy stereos and stuff to give to officials. No, this is very true. And Akioye, Carlo Dwyer was the chairman of NFA then.
No, he was a coach. He was a coach.
He was a coach.
Carlo Dwyer was a coach.
Who was it? Was it Dan Carew? Or
Dan Carew was chairman. Dan Carew was chairman.
Dan Carew actually ordered them to go back and bring me. The night before they started that Nations Cup, somebody brought me a letter and said I should leave the camp.
Wow.
That was very demoralizing for me. Is that I focused. That was why I decided that I need to focus on me. I can't worry about Nigerians' issue.
Wow.
So that was the reason that I realized that money is now playing big role into those who make the team, and I wasn't ready to give anybody a dime.
Can I say something to that?
Yeah. Go on.
Yeah, that 1980 group, there was nothing like give anybody money. No, because I can recall everything that goes on in that thing. I was a product of it. See, the thing is, when we were invited, I was invited before I even knew I was invited. I came in 1979 for some scrimmages. That was when Akiye told me that I need to come back. I said, okay, but I cannot live for a whole year. So there was no any confusion in that thing. Whatever decision that was made at that time that you heard, it came from the coach. The Nigerian official has nothing to do. If you remember, Sam, I spoke to you about, you remember I met you in Florida when I came for my license.
Coaching, yes.
We were all talking about, look, they wanted you guys in there. But the thing is, the coach said he's done with what he wanted. That was it. He has nothing to do with the official. That I can tell you.
My elder, I beg to differ, because if you understand what I was doing in that camp, all right, Coach Otto Gloria had to stop practice a couple times because of the amount of people that wanted to kick the shit out of me.
Yeah, I was in that group.
I mean, he had to stop the practice and said, no, that's not how you play football. Because that was the first time I heard this word. Today, if we don't kill this man, he will decamp all of us. Look, so you can speak for you, but I understand by going to the rooms, you had people who were bringing boombox. I never saw boombox in my life. People went to Alaba and brought boombox. And look,
no, who was supplying the boxes?
I know, that's why I don't
understand.
Players were supplying.
It's not Odi, it's not you, but players were doing it.
Buying it for who?
You went, huh?
Who were they giving it to? Were they bribing?
You know it's not Otto Gloria, but our Nigerian coaches. That for me, that was when they started taking offers from players to make teams.
Okay, well, you must know certain things that we don't know, but I can confirm that when you were in camp at that time, you were truly awesome. You were awesome on the wing. You were diminutive, small, fragile, extremely quick, and all of that. But then you had some truly terrific people you were contesting with at the time. So I don't know what happened, but you have your story, and you must have your sources, and so on and so forth. But we have gone a little bit far in the show. Let me, because we have a parliamentarian in the house, he needs to just pass a comment or two on what he has heard so far. Satish, if you are there, from what you have heard, has America been the cemetery of Nigerian football, or has it been the paradise breeding footballers for Nigeria? What do you think from what you have heard? Satish.
I'm sorry. From what I've heard, there should have been a blend that enabled these young men and women as well to go to foreign countries and obtain an education that they would be able to use after their sporting careers were over. But it should have been possible for them to develop as sports people as well. That's something which I think has changed a bit, and that nowadays, like, for example, Paul was able to go to the United States, get an education, but also get to use the facilities, and he came back facilities. For me, listening to these stories, you can't but feel a bit of sadness about it, because you wonder what would have happened if the football authorities in Nigeria had actually invested both in their education and in their sport. And I hope that is the lesson that will come out of it, that we won't have another generation that is lost in the way this one was.
We'll be going on a short break. When we come back, I would be asking. So all of you think about it. America is the home of female football, women's football in the world. They are the biggest developers of women's football, and they have the largest population of female footballers in the world. Their youth development program, grassroots development program, is also one of the best. But why not at the professional level? You'll be telling us, giving us, why that is so. And we'll also be looking at the future, or now, the present. Has the system changed? Can our boys, we are sending boys to America now, from my school, for example, with the hope that America would develop them well enough for them to be invited back to participate in football in Nigeria at different age levels. You'll also be telling us if that is a pipe dream or if that is reality after our break.
Shagway is really an artist these days. He's untouchable in that flat. Shagway is still going. And it's in the net. It is in the net. Goal number 3. Incredible.
Eagle 7 Sports Radio. The best sports.
It's lights out and away we go. Sebastian Vettel gets a flyer. Ahead of Lewis Hamilton. He's out. He's trying to let hand. Get up.
The best station. The best for you.
Within one!
Eagle 7 Sports Radio. Fly with us.
Well, welcome back. This is Eagle 7 Sports Radio coming to you from Nigeria, Abeokuta in Nigeria, and we're having a chat with some truly great legends of Nigerian football, their experiences in the United States, where they went in search of greener pastures and remained and forfeited the possibility of great careers in football. Now America produces the largest number and the best female footballers in the world. How do they do it? And their youth development program for football is also rock solid in America. But why does that not translate to the professional ranks? Who do I ask? Ogedengbe? Not Ogedengbe. Do you know? Why is that so? Why is professional football in America not quite, what it should be?
So you have competing sports. You have football, you have baseball, you have basketball. And those sports have been there for a long time. Their grandparents, their great-grandparents played those games. So soccer just was a sport that just came just recently. So, and they have sponsors already for all these other sports. So soccer need more sponsors to develop well in America. It has to do with the competing sports of basketball, baseball, football. That is where the money is. And that's where the most sponsorship is. And that's what we have. And the reason why.
But why does it work with the girls? Why does it work with the girls? Why are they so successful with the girls?
Because the American government was able to put something in place where girls are encouraged to play football. They're encouraged at every level of the game, high school, elementary school, and they put a lot of money in it. So individual payment of parents putting money and sponsoring this program. This is why they're successful.
Sam, well, I know you have been one of the top coaches for women's football in America. Your thoughts? Why would they not translate what they are doing with the women to the men?
Well, for the women, understanding that the initial start of women football in the world, America was in the foundational stage. And the coach that was offered the job was Anson Dorrance. And what Anson Dorrance did, he took the first women championship team in America, added some few solid players from other schools to build that team. If you go back and you watch the very first game, it was almost like kick and run. They were the fastest, they were the strongest. That was how they went through. But as time went on, they started developing system of play. And they still use the same formula of using top-notch women player as a foundation, and then added people to it. They don't break up that team just like so. I don't want to say like Nigeria does every day. They don't break up that team at all. The team stays together and they add good players and take out the old players. So the system, the structure remains. That's why they've been able to do that.
I noticed that Satish has something to add. Satish.
Yeah, what I wanted to add is that in the 1920s and 1930s, the United States was actually very important in terms of its football. what some of you call soccer, in that it actually reached the top 4 in one of the early competitions around the World Cup and Olympic Games, and there was a player by the name of Archibald Stark who actually held the record for the most number of goals in the season, and it wasn't credited properly. So that you had Dixie Dean given the record, you had Ferenc Diak given the record, but actually Stark had scored 67 goals, and his record was only beaten by Pele in 1958. So I think you do have to give the United States a bit more credit in its football than it's been getting.
Paul Okoku, your own thoughts. You know, why? I think that at collegiate level, you are doing tremendously well to develop football players. I have been there myself. I have seen you guys work. I've seen your clinics. I've been to colleges and I've seen the sort of training that you give to players, way ahead of the training our students get here in Nigeria. So that transition still bothers me, you know, to at a much higher level. And what is the state now? What is the state of development now, even in America? A lot of the best players in the world retire into American professional football. Paul, unmute.
Your audio.
Yeah.
Okay. It's improving every day.
Yeah.
And the interest from parents, particularly women, you know, we have what they call, what is the name? Soccer mom.
Helicopter parent.
Yes, soccer mom.
Soccer moms. Yeah.
Soccer mom.
Helicopter parents.
Yes, soccer mom, they are everywhere. Weekend in, weekend out, they are right there supporting their daughters. So they nickname them soccer mom. So when your parents are willing to invest that kind of money in you, and eventually you earn scholarship, and it starts from high school also, just like we had in our own days. We start from primary school, and you have coaches or coaches that are monitoring you up to the college level and to university level. And they have that here, and they have been so consistent. So a combination of all that, parental involvement, school involvement, and guardians, once that interest is there, there's nothing that can derail you from achieving superior talent or skills. So this is what is happening. We, growing up, we had that opportunity. We had Games Masters in primary school, and then we transitioned to college, and from there we had good coaches who were particularly interested in monitoring our play, giving us the best skills that we needed, and they were more concerned in our education as well, because when we missed practices because of schoolwork, they forgave us. So if we can implement that system in our country, I think we'll be successful as well. Listen to what I said, and I should emphasize that parental encouragement is very important.
Okay, Nathaniel, the advice you would give, take me for example. I encourage a lot of the players in the Segun Odegbami International College and Sports Academy to complete their secondary school education, do the scholastic aptitude test, pass it, get a scholarship in an American college, and go to America to play your football and your, and also read at the same time. When you are 21, you can move to Europe. If you are that good, you are still young enough to move to Europe. We have a few of them who have already done that and are succeeding. Tolu Arogundade, for example, went to Turkey, went to Germany, and is now somewhere in, I don't know what country he has moved to. And there are a few of them that have succeeded that way. So now I'm asking you, Nat, from your own experiences, what you saw, what you experienced, what you see now that is going on there, how would you want us to advise our children who have an interest in developing their talent in football? Would you still encourage that they come to America, or should all of them just face Europe?
For the Bats BBC to do.
Unmute yourself. Yes.
So during our time, if you remember, when the Flying Eagles, they told us that they were going to give us scholarship to universities and colleges, and that never materialized.
Yeah.
Imagine they did that to all the players, to all of us back then. You see the result now.
Yeah.
Now, if these kids can come to America, they will do very well because they have a good program, good training. Like you said, there's some people that transition to Europe. My son, particularly, at some point, played a practice match for CSIA back in Atlanta. My son played here. I worked with him, and when CSIA came down, I asked him to go try out with them. He was there for a week, and he did very well. So you could see that the training here is really good when you have a good coach, good environment to play. For our own kids over in Nigeria, we have individual skills, but when we come here, it helps when you're able to translate that into team skills, team formation. But most of the kids here, they do very well when they go to Europe to play. Our advice that if they can get here, get the education, and go to Europe, will do best good for them.
Fantastic. Well, Sam, you are the coach. You have worked with kids and all of that. So, what is this real state of football now at collegiate level and at pro level in America? Where would you put it on the scale of 1 to 10 now in development and impacting on the lives of the players themselves and their chances of moving into the true professional realm? Sam.
Hello?
Yes, Sam, that's for you now.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, good. Now, they are about 7, but don't forget that the rest of the world were already at a highest stage. So as America grows, the rest of the world right now, they're either moving slowly, but America is actually moving faster. With the likes of, when we came here to play, you didn't have as much professional team after college. But today, there are hundreds of professional teams from every level you can think about to MLS. So the opportunity to play here is even bigger, is better. So when I played, when you got out of school during the break, there was no major league to play on. But today, during summer break, all the kids now have an academy where they can play. So the opportunity is here today. And I think it's only going to get better. But one thing I wanted to add, our players, even us when we played back then, we were more passionate about the game than the current boys that are playing today. Passion, no money, and a lot of people now are driven by the money, and the passion for the game is not there.
Odie, what about what the environment does to us as players? Because, we all grew up playing on the streets, rough surfaces and so on and so forth. So we developed serious individual skills that when you go to an America, for example, America will just polish you up and you are a fantastic player immediately. But when you are in America, you start on those lush, green, artificial surfaces, and you don't have all of those natural things. That am I speaking the truth, Odie?
Yes, you are speaking the truth. See, when it comes to soccer development, or why the soccer here in the US is so successful, I think Sam Ogbodi said it very well, because he's in there. I'm just one of the coaches that go for a license and they license you. But you cannot beat street soccer. There are things that I coach my team here that they never thought they know how to. I said, look, this is how you do it. Street soccer works anywhere. The ones we are doing here is all you just go by the book. It really doesn't work much. So there are things, the street soccer that we have, this is a foundation, it helps us a lot. But with the US,
the passion for the game.
Yeah.
They don't have it. The passion for the game.
We have, yeah.
Well, it will be interesting to hear Paul Okoku's story in Nigeria. What do you recall about your days in Nigeria? Where you started and all of that. Your rise in football. Paul Okoku, I want you to tell us about it. I know a little, but I don't know enough. Paul, recall your days in Nigeria.
Well, can I please go? I had a class now.
Okay, you can go. Paul, you can go. Paul, you can go.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right.
Great Odi.
Okay, Nathaniel.
We will see now.
Nathaniel, you and Semfimba, tell us, even before Semfimba, just a little of your early days in Nigeria. What did you do? Where did you play? Who were your colleagues? What do you remember about those days? I remember you, tiny you were so tiny when you joined us now.
So I started playing at Evans Square.
Big Check. Yeah, Big Check, don't even go there. You said I was tiny.
No, not you, Paul. Nathaniel.
Oh, Nathaniel. Okay,
Paul,
okay.
you can go. Paul, you can go now. Go for your meeting. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So
okay.
Except if you want to spend a minute to tell us about your early days.
I have a few minutes left.
Okay, go ahead. Tell us about your early days in Nigeria. Your own story in Nigeria.
Well, it all started from my primary school days, where we would go to New City, Munshi, to play Felele, rubber ball. And then to Evans Square, we play Felele also here. We played Teku. From Teku to campus. And this is all barefooted. And then sometimes if we couldn't afford football, we just play with oranges, dribbling with oranges. And street football actually prepared us to become who we were, playing nationally. And when we played for youth fund and we traveled outside Nigeria, that ruggedness, we used that to quack all these Oyibo people. I didn't want to use,
Yes, now we understand now. That's the only language. You can't say it in any other language.
I want to be careful. I want to be careful in my utterances. But anyway, so that's how it all started for me. And I had a lot of people that believed in me. In fact, there was a tournament we played at Okera, where I was the smallest and the youngest in 1979. And right after the match, late Adero Gusanya, who was then aspiring to become the governor of Lagos State, other MPP, awarded me a scholarship up to university level.
Wow.
Even though I never used it.
Wow, fantastic.
That's a synopsis of my story.
Nathaniel.
Story.
Okay, Nathaniel, you were colleagues now. Nathaniel was a little ahead of you, though. Nathaniel, tell us your own story.
So I started playing at Evans Square, Lagos, Ibutimeta. From there, I played at Okera also, and I played also in Surulere at that time. You have some older men that lives in the neighborhood. I'm not sure how they discover where you live. Someone will just come from Lagos Island and come and pick me up at Ajay Street, Yaba, Sabo, and then take me to go and play in Mushin or Surulere or Lagos Island. I remember a game that I played in campus. The team that I played for were ahead 2-1, and as I was about to score the third goal, they threw a cider bottle over my head that broke my head. I still remember up to today. That was the last time I played in Lagos Island. So from playing Lagos Island, you have all these younger men that are passionate about soccer to go around neighborhood and select players. It was true there that was exposed to street soccer. My game at that time was like Lagos style of soccer. All I wanted to do is just dribble.
Yeah.
Echo for show.
Yeah.
Of course, Echo for show. There you go. That's the game we played. And then from there, I got to St. Finbar's College, and then the rest is history.
Well, Sam, I know you were a rascal.
Is Taju still there?
Taju is there, but we cannot take Taju because, except we just want to hear his voice for a minute. His pictures are not clear. The lighting is poor.
He's hiding.
He's not hiding. He's not lighting it up properly. But we can hear your voice, Taju. So just say hello to us because the lighting is poor. We can't see your face.
Don't forget they call him Gaddafi. so he must go behind the screen.
Thank you very much. A big check. Thanks for giving this opportunity for all of us to come together. And I appreciate this, and I'm sure my brothers who are here today, do appreciate it too, because it's been a while that we've seen. And listening to Okpodu, Senior Odie, Paul Okoku, Nathaniel, well, I feel at home. But one thing I want to say is that compare football in those days and now, there is no comparison at all. And what United States give most of us that come here today, personally, let me just go personally, that most of the time when I go to Nigeria, what I see, most of our ex players make me to think back and say, well, I thank God for taking the opportunity that came my way during that time when we play for Youth Fund, traveling to Dallas to go play in the Dallas Cup, represent Nigeria, and at the end of the day, some of the coaches saw us and then picked us. But we couldn't stay then, so we had to go back to school because we are in school in Nigeria. So combining education and sports together those days really helped most of us. And because we are eager, we just want to get the education. And secondly, seeing the likes of Segun Odegbami, Messi Ameka, and Felix Owolabi, and Patrick Ekeji and others, really motivated most of us. Say, you want to go back to school, you want to go back to school. Despite the fact that we were all in school then, playing. And there was process those days when we were playing. You graduate, if it is from a local government tournament, street soccer, you go there with Principal's Cup. Principal's Cup was just like World Cup then. Stadium will be jam-packed. People are very good. The players are passionate. It's just, at that time, it was the love of the game that drives most of us playing then. It wasn't for the money. We are so passionate about it. And then you go there, you play, you watch it. And at that time, too, we have Division 4, Division 3, Division 2, and 1 in the league. Players are being picked from Principal's Cup. So it makes it so fun then. We have good coaches who pick players based on their skills. Not now that they pick you based on who you know, not what you know. So many things has changed, and that is exactly why the game keep going down the drain. And then I have to thank a whole lot of the ex-players who are all over the world. I keep saying it. We want to come back. Ex-players who spread around the world want to come back and give back to Nigerian football. But the atmosphere there is not even conducive for anybody good to work there. So those are the things that affecting Nigerian football, and the standard keep going down the drain every time. And I think something has to be done. Everybody have tried. I know how many times, Big Sheikh, I've contributed. There is nobody in that country, I'm saying it, that is more qualified than you to be the NFL
No, don't
president.
go. That's politics. Leave that
Yes.
politics. Leave that politics, severely alone, and let Samuel Okpodu now, because we couldn't see your pictures very well, Taju. So we have to fix that one. We have to fix that one.
All right.
But Sam,
Thank you. Thanks for giving the opportunity.
Samuel,
Ejo, invest in technology, I beg.
I don't know what happened. Seriously.
Yes, Sam was a rascal. I want Sam to tell us the story of his rascality in Warri and Sapele and all those areas. You know the players from that place. If you are not a street boy, you can't play well. Tell us your own story, Sam.
Actually, I played. My older brother actually started before me, but the moment I joined the club, he quit.
Why?
I don't know. I mean, they just didn't pick him anymore. As soon as I joined the team, they just left him behind. And we went to Benin to play. This is how they played it there. I played for a club in Warri. We won. The team in Sapele came to pick me up against Benin. We went to Benin and played against Unweru Bombers. We won the game. Unweru Bombers came and drove me from Warri to Benin to play against another team. This is true story now.
You were a mercenary and you were so small, nobody noticed you.
It was unbelievable MPA Obire actually gave me my first pair of shoes and they were bigger than me. All right. And then I'm in school in Sapele Tech. And on Saturday, the first club that drives into the campus is the one that I go with. And that is the short story. I just wait on Saturday. My shoe is in the door waiting. I will see a Range Rover will come. They will just say, "Are you ready?" I say, "My shoes are here." When I come back, that's why they call me high school millionaire. Because when I came back, I wasn't eating geisha anymore, so I was eating special food. My schoolboy was eating the one they gave in the dining hall.
Oh, Satish, have you been enjoying those stories? Satish, have you been enjoying those stories of how we all started our careers in football in Jos? You just had to be a rascal. You know, your father, your mother had to be chasing you all over the place. You have to be a Samopodu to be playing for 3 clubs in 1 week, and so on and so forth. So Sati, just tell me now, you have listened to them all over again. So what's going through your mind? These incredible stories.
Yeah, I enjoyed these stories. I mean, you hear some great stories in the olden days of football. For example, I know one in Zambia concerning the great Godfrey Chitalu. And this was in days when if you wanted to transfer a player to your team, you didn't bother going and bidding to the club to get them. You simply went and got them to come to your club with a better offer. There was some talk that Chitalu leaving Kitwe United was arranged by the great Boniface Simitoi and also Edward Musonda, and they said they actually drove to Kitwe United and came back with Chitalu, and he turned up a few days later in Kabwe playing for them. That Musonda said he actually was poached as well. So you got this going on right through the system to get the players that you wanted. So you have all these sort of interesting stories, and one of the great stories of Chitalu is he actually got banned for quite a long time because he gave the referee a false name. The name he gave was Dennis Law, because Dennis Law was his hero, and he actually got sent off and banned because he told the referee his name was Dennis Law. I mean, can you believe this?
Incredible. Well, we are coming gradually to the end of the show. So, Paul Okoku, well, I know Nigerians would want to hear your voice before you go, and just tell us what you are doing now. And we are going into a new era in Nigerian. In the life of this country, as it were. We have a new government which is coming up, and we are all hopeful that Nigeria is going to be a great nation again in 2023, and that football, sports would definitely be one of the major contributors to that future that we see. So let's hear some encouraging words from you, Paul Okoku. What should we be looking forward to 2023 and beyond?
Well, thank you, Big Sheg. It all boils down to leadership. If we can get leaders who have the spirit to lead selflessly, and just to realize that it's all about the totality of Nigeria, not as individual, I think we will come out great. I look ahead and I see wonderful things happening in Nigeria. And as you said, we are hoping to usher a new government to Nigeria. And if you see what is going on right now, people are so hopeful. You know, it's like they are no longer in despair. They have hope. They see the future and see good things that are happening. And I hope that we'll be consistent in that aspect of life. We need leaders who will give hope to Nigerians. We need leaders who will curb poverty. We need leaders who will bring security to Nigeria. That is what is lacking right now. Those of us that are overseas, we want to come back home, truly. Most of us are here not because we wanted it after our education. We actually wanted to come back and invest in Nigeria. But that opportunity has been erased because of poor leadership.
Well, fantastic. Nathaniel, well, Nigerians would like to hear your own words of hope, not words of despair.
I think we need to go back to the way things were when we were growing up. In each region, you have passionate leadership. They are good for football. In Lagos, we had teams supporting kids developing the game. You have people that are passionate about the game. All you want to see is that the game do well. But you could see that if we have good leadership in the country, our football will be great. We've done this before. We've been able to develop good players, good programs. Let's go back to those days where we only have leaders that want to serve the people, leaders that want to improve people. I remember when I was still in class 2, I was earning money. I was able to buy refrigerator for my mom, who was selling hot drinks at Sabo Market. I was already making good money at that time. All these kids that are playing soccer, they can help their families. We should bring back a good organization where players are also well served. Kids, high school, elementary school. We need integrity in the game. Leadership that has integrity in each region of the country.
Fantastic. Well, Sam, of course, would have your own last words tonight. Words of hope. I know you have always wanted to come back for sure. You have actually come back some time ago to come and work and be a part of some development. But 2023 and forward, your thoughts?
Security and stability from leadership. Security and stability. The players today are not stable. You need to create an enabling environment for the players, an enabling environment for them to grow. And then the right people only need to be selected, not any other thing, the right players. Because I remember I waited behind you. I was waiting to fill your shoes. And then likewise, when I left the country, another great winger came, and that's how it's going to be developed. But when you just remove people just because they are from geographic areas, you destroy the game. We're going to have players, but they're never going to be the same players. That's what we need.
Well, there's only Satish left as a parliamentarian on the show. You have been the only one tonight. I thank you for coming. But your own final words, and for the first time, you'll be moving a motion for adjournment. So your final thoughts and a motion for tonight's adjournment.
My final thoughts are, this was an excellent program of players who could have been up there with you if they had had the opportunities that you had, but they had other opportunities in life which enabled them to go on and achieve great things. I would hope that in the future you have a balance, that players such as them get to play and also get the education. But I would also like to add that unfortunately Morocco, and he is an African. That man is Jules Fontaine. He's unfortunately died, and I would hope that we will remember that he was an African as well. So I move motion next week. At the same time, we can have another thrilling discussion on sport and how it will progress in Nigeria.
Satish, thank you very much. Yes, thank you for reminding us about, I don't know how it's pronounced, but just Fontaine, that great African whose records have been untouchable for decades. Well, we commiserate with his family and we pray that he journeys back peacefully to his creator. Thank you, Fontaine, for all that you've done. And on that note, I want to thank all our guests tonight: Tajuddin Disu, Paul Okoku, Nathaniel Ogedengbe, Godwin Odiye, Samuel Okpodu, and who else? Join us again next week, Thursday, for another package of the Sports Parliament. I'm Segun Odegbami. Bye for now.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Segun is really an artist these days. He's untouchable in that right flag. Segun is still going, and it's in the net. It is in the net. Goal number 3, incredible.
Eagle 7 Sports Radio, the best sports.
It's lights out and away we go. Sebastian Vettel gets a flyer ahead of Lewis Hamilton. He's out too. I don't think he's getting up. He's done the left hand. Come on, get up.
The best station, the best for you.
Within one.
Eagle 7 Sports Radio. Fly with us.
After 27 years as a print publication and 17 years as a website, Complete Sports, your #1 daily sports newspaper, is going completely digital. Now you can read all your regular in-depth content presented in captivating graphic design on your phone at the click of a button. Complete Sports goes completely digital and it's completely free. Download Telegram app from Apple Store or Google Play Store. Join the Complete Sports Telegram channel. Receive your free copy of Complete Sports and complete breaking news daily. It's completely free. Complete Sports, Nigeria's #1 sports daily since 1995.